Here we go.
Hi, sorry, I suddenly wanted to, the cough came up. So, hi everyone, we're back after a few weeks. I'm Shikha, joining Michelle. I'm a baby photographer originally, uh, got converted into an author, founder, MUM. I've taken out a book called 100 Self Portrait, 100 Dreams. It's a book of 100 mother stories come together. And we launched it 2 years back in India with 40 mothers across the world joining us in launching it and 40 joining us virtually. So that's a little short introduction of me. And I'm a self portrait coach, and I use my visual sense to bring transformation. And we're here to talk about worthy. But before that, let's hear Michelle. Yeah.
I'm Michelle DeKeyser, Connecting Mamas, and really creating what I call the Mama Genius Hub, which is the one-stop shop for all moms to live in their genius and inspire their kids to do the same. Because I don't think that we can do that by ourselves. So my goal is to bring all the mom speakers together as a collective message, and you as moms to find whatever message your gut tells you to reach for, that we can collectively give you that one-stop shop, because community is where it's really at. And so
Right.
I've been honored to do this book with Shikha, because it's all about the worthiness, and actually goes in today's title, which is a lie. I don't deserve better is the title of chapter 7, which I think leads us straight into that, because part of that is that imposter syndrome, that idea of that I don't deserve that community, or I'm looking for that community in a way that isn't authentic to me, and finding the wrong people to connect with. And that also feels really ugly, at least it has for me in the past.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, uh, uh, sometimes we don't even understand it, Michelle, that we think that we don't deserve it, and we might just layer it up with some extra excuses about why we should not be there, or why I should not do it, or why am I not stepping into my best version. Because there's this layering, because it's sometimes it's straight away can't say, oh, I don't think I'm worthy to get the community. Like reaching that kind of vulnerability takes a little time. So, or I don't deserve that kind of person. We will just keep layering and saying, nah, it's not working for me. I don't think so. So love the fact that she's touched upon this topic where uh, somebody who can turn out to be absolutely confident, going all the way in different parts of her life. Um, Looks like she's got it all together. And in one part of her life, she just does not allow herself to be treated and respected, because she just probably feels comfortable there, probably doesn't know better, probably doesn't believe better. So you can take it from there. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I was going to go with one line from the chapter, which certainty is comfort. And especially as moms, we find that, and we go with what we know. So we go
Right.
with that busy routine. We go with, let's make sure our kids have all these different activities, make sure we're doing all these things, that we don't take that time to figure out what we actually want. And so then we end up in those situations of feeling uncomfortable when we're with certain people or things, because that's what we're attracting with the certainty of the
Right.
things that of what other people have done before us or what we've seen, and we just fall into these patterns, and we don't stop to say, this one's not working for me anymore, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling this is too much, or my kids aren't even enjoying this. Like, why am I putting them in all these activities that they're not even enjoying? But it's because I think I need to either get the college application, or to keep up with the Joneses, or the Facebook, or whatever that may be. And I love how she just puts it back, and then it goes into Maya Angelou's quote: do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. And so I feel like our job right here is kind of just to break up those thoughts in our head going, you deserve to feel that comfort of being in your genius. So not just the comfort of certainty, because it's not certain. When we're actually following our gut and our genius, it's very uncertain.
Yeah, yeah. It is uncertain. And constantly fighting with ourselves is not the solution. Sometimes our inner knowing just keeps speaking that take the step, take the step, take the steps, take the steps. And we also sometimes again layer it up with saying, I need the willpower to step up. I know this is the right thing to do, but I need the willpower. Sometimes you just don't even need the willpower. You're just trying to fight it, just fight it. Or you want to say, okay, let me just grow a little older and then maybe have courage. Oh, right now I have this. If I do this, this will get dismantled. How can I take this step? So that certainty is very uncertain to, you're right about that, that to be able to step into that certainty, you have to cross over uncertainty towards certainty. And it takes courage, but just encouraging the audience to think, when we are constantly, we know, our inner knowing knows where we are stuck, this is not the right place, this is not for us. And every night and every morning something knocks on us saying that, okay, let's just start at least moving out from this space or this position or this person or this job. But we just come up with something or the other, and just let it go on and on and on and on. And then the community and the help of your friends, sometimes if you've built that, um, like they are speaking very loudly on your face as well, that I think you need to be out as well. It's a whole journey between one day knowing that I need to be out, and then going all the way taking support, and then joining hands, and then taking help and getting out on the other side. It doesn't happen overnight. It's many, many steps sometimes in between, but starting is very important, is what I feel from that place.
I have to read this quote from the book because it kind of sums up exactly what you've been saying. I love the way Oprah describes how your intuition is always talking to you. At first, it's often in the form of a whisper. And if you ignore it, then it will come in the form of a thump on your head.
Yeah.
Then a brick. Then if you still ignore it, it will come in the entire wall of bricks crashing down onto you all at once. The wall of bricks was about to hit you, the person in the book, Ella, all at once. And so it's kind of that idea of when we ignore what that calling to do something different, to get out of that feeling of safety or certainty, and we have that calling to do something different. When you think about those times, also you're like, why is all this stuff happening to me? Why are all these bad things happening? Well, that's that brick falling, crumbling in front of you to scream at you to do something different. And I love how you were bringing up the community around you. And sometimes until we change that internal clock of the things we want, we're attracting the wrong people. We might be attracting the naysayers or the negative people commenting on things, and then we get stuck in that. I know I've been at tables of moms, and I felt there was just complaint after complaint around the table. And then my brain is now trying to find the complaint that I didn't feel at that moment to fit in and sit with this group. And we do that when we create those wavelengths. But as we go inwards and we start to change our frequency, we now connect differently with our kids. We now connect differently with our spouses. We now connect differently with other people. Some of those friends, and again, that is a sad part. Sometimes some of those connections need to be shortened or things, depending on where you're at in your life. It's time for you to figure out what those boundaries are and who actually lifts up that intuition inside of you and says, yes, you can do that. Who gives you that support instead of that little flame inside your hand, instead of who's the people that help light it versus the people who are blowing it out for you. And you know the difference. Think about, is this person lighting it or helping blow it out? And then you decide what to do with that information, however you want to do it. And maybe family. And you just choose how you interact differently with them and don't share as much with them, because they're still your family, but that doesn't mean you have to share everything with them. I love how Brene Brown tells us to be vulnerable, but you don't have to be vulnerable with everyone.
Yeah.
You be vulnerable with the people who help blow that flame for you, help light it up.
Yeah, and that something was coming to my mind that's gone out, but something else is coming in. Many times in social media we see people try to get vulnerable out of pressure of wanting to be vulnerable in front of the audience. They are talking to and speaking to, etc. And I always used to tell some people that you can still show up in your full potential sometimes without actually, and I learned this from writing poetry. You don't have to say give all the details of vulnerability, but at the same time, the message can come out, and so you don't have to take off your clothes in front of everybody. It's that simple as that. It's very crude way of saying it, but you do not take off your clothes in front of everybody very easily and just say, I'm vulnerable here, just like come here. And that people are very scared of the word vulnerability. But if you just find somebody very comfortable and you can drop your defenses and talk, I think that thing should be encouraged. And being mothers, I was laughing actually on the fact that you were saying that you were looking for a complaint to fill in to do the complaint. And just standing in your certainty is something we all find very difficult. And I was talking to a mother yesterday. I just met her on a birthday party, and after that, of course, went to a very deep conversation. And she was struggling, and she's like, I do read a lot about what's the right kind of parenting, how to be a gentle parent, how to be conscious. But when it comes down to applying it, I do exactly the opposite. So I don't know why I do it. I said, because you're surrounded by people, because she was explaining the people she's surrounded by, who do not believe in gentle parenting. She had a mother and parents who were the sorts who give punishments. Her in-laws are the sorts who give punishments. Her husband is the sorts who gives punishment. And between or the whole family who loves him giving punishment, standing up and saying, I just want to love him just for the who this child is very difficult, even if you know that's the right thing to do. So you join the gang to give punishment so that you're safe, right? And I said, what about that little boy who's just like, trying, is all of 8 years old. So of course I'm very passionate about children. And so what you said about complaining, it can even go to this extreme. You want to join the gang because you're going to be questioned, what kind of a mother are you? It doesn't work. Look at yourself. You worked well because you were punished. I worked well because I'm punished. So that fitting in, that example was coming to me when we were talking about the complaining part, and it just pulls you in. And she was relieved to find a permission to just be a conscious parent and be a loving parent and come out from that. And there were tears rolling down, and she's like, is that okay? I was like, yeah, but you have to stand up in your certainty and say, I don't want to do this anymore to my kid. It's just breaking me. I'm getting diseased doing this, trying to fit in. So if anybody can relate to this particular story, because I was really affected by it for some time, I'm just like, how much pressure do we put on ourselves just to fit in? We can even do things that we just don't want to do at all.
Well, I think when we try to fit in, we put ourselves in this box. And we do that to ourselves and our kids. And then that's when we feel like we don't deserve anything because we don't fit into these boxes. They aren't who we are. And as parents, I think the shift is finally coming. I was actually listening to a podcast with Dr. Shabale and Oprah and talking about the conscious parenting and the ideas. And that's what I've been as well. As parents, we are role models for our kids. We are not we need to let go of that control of saying this is what you need to do, but letting them explore. And as parents, we're not in charge of them. I'm these words are coming out. We're guides for them, but they still have to learn and make their own mistakes. I mean, we could shelter them. And then by the time we send them off to college, so many kids are having breakdowns and things because they don't know how to take care of themselves. They go from having all this helicopter parenting and everything done for them to nothing. I mean, they're on their own and they don't know how to do it. So we need to, as parents, start. That's why I believe in exploring the genius, because as moms, we need to explore our own, showing them that it's okay to not do everything for someone else. You take care of yourself first and let that frequency change. Then you let them discover their own frequency and the things that they're good at. Because as you were saying, what I used to do with my son is I was so worried about what friends he had, because that was my impression that he needed these things. And when I finally let go of that and started going, well, what are the things he likes doing? He likes cooking. He likes doing that. The reason we took a long break is because the two of us were in Africa together. He was sitting there making dinners for the 8 people that we were with. he was sitting there making breakfasts and being the barista. He figured out how to make the cappuccino, figure out how to work the cappuccino machine. I never really gave it a try, but he wanted to do it. And we had 3 older boys. He was making coffees for them every morning. Like, when we let the kids in their own genius,
Right.
then we start to release that. We
Right.
have to feel this idea of control. And I think that's where it comes in when we're trying to control and fit the box that we feel like we don't deserve, because these boxes don't fit us.
Right.
We need to release ourselves from these boxes and realize that we do deserve better.
Right. Okay, my little one is here. Yeah. Okay, don't take it. I'll come sometime. I'll come. So it's his dinner time and he needs help. So you have to give me 2 seconds, sweetie.
We'll wrap this up today.
We will have to. But he can sit for 2 minutes. But then let's just wrap it up and I'll just put it on a mute while he's with me. Why don't you just wrap up what we were talking about? And I think we've talked it. Anyway, I think the main point of this book is a short chapter was about trying to fit in somewhere and then just doing things we don't want to do or be with somebody we don't want to be. And then, okay, the light is gone. So
I can still see you.
take over because this is going to be
Well, I
something
was
else.
going to say, we start with the idea of search and see is comfort. I want to finish that paragraph in there and say it's because our learned condition defaults emotionally comfort zone makes it more comfortable to stay in relationships or keep seeking relationships with the type of people who we are familiar to us, meaning new people who treat us just as poorly as people from our past. So we keep repeating these patterns of, like, we might move to a new area, but we find the same group of people. Highlight. We're drawn to what's familiar. As human beings, we're not wired to be happy. We are wired for to be comfortable. We are programmed to seek what we're known. Even though we think we want to be happy, our subconscious drives us to do everything we can do to get back to what's comfortable, a place that is most accurately reflects our sense of worthiness. We'll even sabotage a potentially good relationship to get back to one that feels more comfortable to us, even if it's what's most familiar and comfortable is somewhat disappointing and treating us poorly. That explains how we started this, was talking about that idea of we are wired for this comfort, talking about me at the moms group around the table looking for those complaints because that's what's in front of me. And so then even if it's not this table, then I go seek the same thing because that's what I'm wiring my brain for. So it's your job to now say, I deserve better, because you do. And ask the question, what do I want? What are my desires? Because they are worth acknowledging. Whether they happen or not, write them down. That's actually your homework for tonight, is to really just write down, I desire, and make a list of 20 things. Whether they happen or not, if you don't acknowledge them, then they sit inside of you and they pester, and then you can start to see what they are. And so that helps us change that wire of going from the comfort of being certainty to I desire and I deserve these things.
This is a perfect example of the sitting with your authenticity and not trying to fit into the life because today is not working. And so thank you for giving this space, starting this space. I think today is not the day where I'm going to be allowed to do any more speaking. But I think this is what it is, just showing up in your authentic self. And this worthy book and feeling that you're worthy and you'll still be accepted and many things will happen no matter what's happening around you is your authentic self. So I will tune out from there. Michelle, you take it on from this because I think that's what I can say more than anything else right now. My mind is out totally with what I'm saying.
Well, I want to thank Burial for putting in the comment that this is a deep talk because it's really getting into releasing that comfort zone and acknowledging that that's what we're wired for. And until we acknowledge that and say, I want to do something different, I deserve different, I deserve my desires, that's where we start with. And so thank you so much for having stayed. And on that note, though, I want to say that both Shikha and I are coming up with with summits and festivals coming up for moms. And that's what this is all about, is really creating that community so we can have these conversations. And so that we can, as Oprah, and not as Oprah, as Maya Angelou put, I'm going to end with that quote today as soon as I find it. But I know I already read it, but I think it's worth reading one more time if I can find it. Do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. So that's what we're going to leave with today. As you start to rewire and change your perspective, start to do things differently. See where it takes you. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.